should say something, and I will let you start.
Does it matter when I start? Is it recording now? I can start.
You can start.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. Hi everyone, my name's Pippa Gray and I'm the Early Years Manager for Surrey County Council. I want to just take a few minutes to talk about the integrated review at age 2. Okay, so what is the integrated review at age 2 and why is it so important? So the integrated review is made up of 2 different checks. There is one check that's going to be carried out by the health visiting team and another check that will be carried out by the early years setting, if the child attends one. So that could be a childminder, a preschool, a school or a nursery provider. So any parent that has or has still got a 2-year-old will completely understand what a challenging time it can be. All that learning and development, all kind of balled up into those tiny little bodies, makes for some really interesting times. A 2-year-old's brain is developing at a rate of knots. In fact, a 2-year-old has twice as many synapses, which are the connections between the brain cells, than an adult does. These connections are where the learning really happens. This means the brain is able to learn faster at the age of 2 than at any other time. So you'll see there, they're beginning to talk, they're playing alongside other children and interact more. They may also be getting used to separating from parents and carers, which can also bring its own challenges. So what does it mean for children and families? So when a child turns 2, the parents will be offered 2 developmental reviews, as I've already said, one by the setting and one by the health provider. Sorry, the health visiting team. Each review is equally as important, as each one has a different focus on aspects of child development. Each check helps identify any strengths that your child may have and any areas that may just need a little bit extra support. It's really an opportunity for parents, health visitors and early years settings to work together to support every child's health, well-being, learning and development. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to talk about the progress check that's carried out by the early years setting. This is really, really important check. It's a statutory requirement for the early years provider to carry out this check, and it's one of 3 statutory assessments within the early years foundation stage. Just quickly, just to let you know, there was the 2-year-old check, there is now a reception baseline assessment at the beginning of reception year, and then there is another foundation stage assessment at the end of reception year. So for this check, it will be done as close to the age of 2 as possible, but really it's ideally between the age of 2 and 3. This assessment and this check will focus on 3 areas of learning known as the prime areas. So that's the child's communication and language, their personal, social, emotional development, and their physical development. And it's really an opportunity to celebrate any successes the child's having in those areas, but it's also to identify if there's any kind of gaps or areas where a child may just need a little bit of extra support. The check has to be shared with you as parents and carers. It might be a face-to-face meeting where you sit and discuss your child with the early years provider, but it may be that you're given a written report. Either way, you have to be given a written report of what the early years setting feelings about your child's development at that time. So if the setting do highlight there's some concerns, then they need to be putting a plan into place. So it will be a targeted plan which supports your child's development with some key activities and some strategies that they will be following, and then we'll be working with you and you can follow at home to kind of improve that progress for your child and help them support them to catch up. Moving on to the 2-year health review, this is done around 27 months, between 27 months and 30 months of age, and this is carried out by the health visiting teams. It really is an opportunity for your health visiting team to talk to you about child development, speech and communication, talking to your baby, any dental health, any immunisations, but it's also an opportunity for you to raise any concerns that you may have about your child. So before this 27-month review, you'll be sent a simple questionnaire and asked to complete it and bring it along to your review appointment. This tells the health visitor all the things that you as parents and carers have seen the child do at home. The health visitor will use this information along with their own knowledge of the child, their professional expertise, and hopefully some information provided by the early years setting to get a really good picture of your child's health and developmental needs. It's really, really important that parents share the progress check at age 2 done by the early years setting with the health visitor and vice versa. You may find that your early years setting do the progress check at age 2 before the health visiting one, or you may find that the health visiting review is done before your early years setting review. Either way, it's really important that you share any kind of conversations and any findings of those 2 reviews. The idea of sharing that information is basically that both professionals then can capture your views and concerns about your child's progress. The early years practitioner will have detailed knowledge of how the child's learning and developing based on a day-to-day observation within that early years setting. So health visitors will only have a snippet of view of your child, along with obviously the knowledge that you provide. But it's really important that they get that kind of overview and benefit of the early years setting that are seeing that child the most. So as parents, how can you help? It's really important. You might be familiar with this little red book that you'll see on the corner of the screen, but it's really important that you are part of any discussion with your child's early years setting about their development. Please don't be afraid to ask any questions or raise any concerns that you have. It's really, really important that you are there and you are getting your feelings about your child's development heard. We encourage you to take your child's personal child health record, which is the red book, along to the meeting, and when you're discussing that progress check with the early years setting, as there's a specific page within that where they can make brief notes about any concerns or any areas of development, or actually to celebrate any real positives that your child has. Then when you take your red book along to the health visitor check, it's all there in one place. And it's really, really important that you do complete that questionnaire provided by the health visiting teams prior to the review. Parents and carers know their children better than anybody else. You're with them more, you see them more. It's really important that you have your views heard about what they can do at home. Okay, so what will happen if there are any concerns about your child's development? So the earlier setting will work with you guys as parents and carers to identify any suitable strategies and activities that can support the child. So there'll be activities that they'll provide on a daily basis for your child within the setting, but there'll also be some things that you can work on at home. So they may be strategies around developing a child's language and communication, and they should give those to you written down so you know and you can keep track of what you're doing at home. It may be that a referral to other services needed, such as speech and language therapy or physiotherapy or occupational therapy, or it may be that they make a referral to one of our teams within Surrey County Council to get some advice about how they can support that child within the setting. The nursery may apply for additional funding. Now, this funding will allow them to support the child in a more targeted way, such as having extra staff around at key times, so that the child can be really supported by an adult when they need it most. So there are options available for support for children, and it's really important that these 2-year-old checks consider all options and have your views included in them. I'm done.